Okay, in the previous video, I walked you through how to build the schematic. The one I have up here is the VCF, but if you're doing the VCA, it would be pretty similar to this one. Now, one thing I want to note is that as we went through the process, I noticed certain things, particularly around the names of pots and jacks, and some other little quirks and details that I didn't catch the first pass through, but as I was helping you guys, I saw them. So I put in the gradebook an updated version of every one of these schematics. Now, the schematic itself, it remains the same. The red symbols, the green wires, all that remains the same. It's just some of the names and part values that I edited to make for better clarity or further down the steps when we do the board. Now, if you've already worked with me on that, on making those changes, then you don't need to perfectly match the one you see on screen here. But if you haven't done those things, you need to go into the gradebook or just pause this if you can read everything there, if it's high enough resolution. In the gradebook, they are extra high resolution, so you can blow them up and it's really clear what everything is. And so, yeah, so I just want to make sure that before you start this step, this is done. You shouldn't even watch this video from here on out until this step is done. Okay, once it's done, we can go on to the next phase. The next phase involves using this sheet of all the specs of where everything will be located. And I'm going to scroll down here. And you can get a copy of this for whatever team you're working on. So this video is going to be for VCA VCF. And I'm specifically going to do the VCF, but the VCA follows the same principles. And when it doesn't, when there's any sort of difference, I'll note that in this video. So whether you're doing the VCA or the VCF, this is a video for you. Okay, I want to let you know that as I do things, oftentimes I'll pause on my end, and for you, all it will look like is a jump cut. So here's an example. Here's a pause, and now I start all over again. And usually when I've done that, I will have taken actions. Let me see if I can point in the right direction. I'll take actions over on the actual board, and I'll need you to pause right after the jump cut and catch up to where I'm at. So make sure you're working together as a team. It's really helpful if you are all synced together and in the same place as you do this. Otherwise, it's just a lot slower. But then make sure you do pause when it is time. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to lay out the board and how to do that well. There are a couple different ways to do it. But the bottom line is that we need to make this board, it's not mirrored, so it feels weird. This board right here, with these exact dimensions and putting the parts in the exact spot. And I'm going to walk you through that process. So first we're going to start with the board. There are two ways to do it. The way I'm going to show you now is to go over to the board and to right-click on each of the four sides and go to Properties. So right-click, go to Properties. And now what is here, what is shown here, is the X and Y coordinates of both endpoints of the bottom line. So there's a bottom line, there's an end on this side, there's an end on this side, so each of them have their own coordinates. That's what's shown there. So we're going to have to change those. Before we do, we actually need to make sure our file is set up for our file is set up for the particular parameters that we'll need. And now, many of you should have it already set up. You're just going to walk this through and make sure, yeah, everything there looks good. But in many cases, there's going to be something that you'll need to change. And if you somehow didn't have the board and it started over from scratch, you'll need to do all those things. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go up here where it says grid. We want to click on that. And for these boards, we want to make sure we're in millimeters. Okay, everything that I'm going to do in all the numbers in here are all labeled in millimeters. And then when it says size, we're going to do 1/4 of a millimeter. That's a pretty small amount. So you can get really detailed, but it's big enough that you can line things up if you want to perfectly line them up. And sometimes we do want to do that. So I'm going to click OK there. So I've got 1/4 of a millimeter. So again, that was grid, 1/4 of a millimeter. That's the first thing you need to do. Next thing you need to do is go up to the Tools menu. That might be right there at the top. And we're going to go to Design Rule Check. And we need to set this up. And there isn't a step that you're going to have to do because I don't think it is set up in yours. So down here, you can see what's on my screen. It says, it's just a weird way of writing it. It's parentheses, 1 asterisk, 2 asterisk, 15 asterisk, 16 asterisk. This board is going to be a 4-layer board. It is technically possible to make this board as a 2-layer board, but it actually is easier for you, so much easier for you, if we make it a 4-layer board, and I want you to be successful, so we're going to make it 4-layer. Makes it more expensive to manufacture, but not by that much. And so to make it a 4-layer board, this is exactly what you do. And we're going to create 4 layers: layer 1, layer 2, layer 15, and layer 16. And you might be like, wait, why not 3 and 4? Well, because layer 16 is defined to be the bottom layer. And so when you do 2 layers, you do 1 and 16. And when you do 4 layers, you do 1, 2, and 15, 16. And if you want to do 16 layers, you just do them all. So this is what you need to have typed in down here in the setup. So that's this first layers tab. Then we're going to move to the clearance tab. And then what you see on screen, every one of those fields there is marked as 12 mils. That's what we want, 12 mils. We go to the distance tab. And here you can see that I've made some changes from what we've done in the past. So this one says 10 mils. I'm going to change that back to 20. We may shrink that. We'll see. But I'm going to change that back to 20 mils. And then we've got 12 mils here. And this is consistent to what we did in our practice board with the audio amplifier. And then the last thing is we are going to go to sizes. And in sizes here for minimum width, we're going to do 12 mils. Okay. Minimum drill is 23 mils. Most of these probably won't be changed. So to recap, you need to change it in the layers. Okay. You probably won't need to change this layer because I think this is what it was before. I think this one was set up the same way as before, so you might not need to change that. And then this one, I don't know what I had gone for my minimum width. Okay. And then you can go ahead and hit check. And when this errors window pops up like this, you can just close it for now. We're not going to worry about it. Okay. And there we go. Okay. So that's the first step. Now we can actually go and put in all of these exact details. So I'm going to right click, and go over here, right click, go to properties again, and now I'm in millimeters. Before I was in inches, now I'm in millimeters. So this bottom line needs to be at 9.25 millimeters. And the way to do that is to change the y coordinate, 9.25, on both endpoints. Let me show you what it looks like when you do it on just one. So I've just changed one, and I click apply. And you can see that that one moved down, but that one did not, because I need to also change this one to 9.25. And now when I hit apply, both of them are moved down. So if you ever get something that's tilted, that means that you changed it to one coordinate and not the other. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to just change things to these y coordinates right here. Because I'm dealing with the bottom, I want the y coordinates to match. I don't worry about the x coordinates at this point, just the y. Okay, and then I can go to the top and do the same exact thing. And again, we're just dealing with the y coordinates right now because we're just talking about how high or low these lines are. So this one says, if I look right here, it says 119.25. So 119.25, 118.25. Okay, and then for the left-hand side, we're just going to make that the coordinate 0. So 0. And 0, like so. And then the right-hand side, you can see on the bottom here, right there, it says 70 millimeters across. So my x coordinate over here is 70. So you'll notice that every time I do this, I change 2 numbers. Those 2 numbers are the same. And then when I do so, it just either moves stuff left or right or up or down. Okay. So now I have a board over here that is 70 millimeters across on top and bottom, and starts at 9.25 millimeters here, goes up to 119.25 millimeters there, which means it's 110 millimeters tall. Now the reason why we didn't start at 0 and just go up to 110 has to do with the fact that when we actually build the module, the panel will need to be taller than the actual inside circuit in order to mount it. And so this just cuts the panel, the circuit board inside down so that the panel overhangs that we can stick it in. It'll make sense later. If it doesn't make sense now, just go with it. Okay, now that's the first step. Now I've got the outline. The next step is to actually place my parts. So here's the VCF, and let me zoom in, see if I can zoom in here. Okay, I'm going to look first at my jacks. So it looks like I have 5 jacks in this section. By the way, this dashed line is just indicating the separations between the sections. So I've got 5 jacks: ADSR, resonance, frequency, out, and in. And what is shown here inside this circle is the x coordinate of all those jacks. And what's shown on the side here is the y coordinate of that whole row. So let me go here. Now first, in order to do this well, I need to go to my layers function. I'm going to hide everything. So you should do that with me. Go to your layers function, hide everything. And I'm just going to right now just be showing my pads. I'll show my vias too. They're not really there yet, but I'll show them. I'm not going to do unrouted. I don't care about that yet. Dimension, that's the outline. Okay, so pads and vias are like the holes. And then I want top place because I want to see the part. And I want top origins. And then lastly, key 1, top names. So when I click all those things, now when I zoom in on any of these parts, I can grab the part, that's the top origins. I can see its name and I can see what it looks like. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on a part, go to its properties, and then based on what it is, so this is the input of the VCF, that's what it is. So where does that go? That goes x coordinate of 55. You can see it right there, 55. And a y coordinate, if I look here at the side, 96.5. Okay. And then I'm just going to go piece by piece. So this one's the output. Well, that's 45 and 96.5. Okay, and so that's what the jacks look like. Down here, oops, sorry, clicking on the wrong window here. Down here, these larger circles represent pots, and so I'll grab those. If you're on the VCA, you might have this smaller circle. That's the LED, and it's marked as such. And then, yeah, these are the jacks. So there we go. And what I'm going to do here, here, let me show you what the pot looks like. The pots will look like this. Okay, and it looks like I didn't name them all. Did I not name them all? I could have sworn I named them all. Well, let me pause the video and name them right now. Okay, as you're doing this, you might see some like text just floating around here. That's because it has to do with like some parts that we can't see right now. But if I click on this, you can see if I drag that around, oh, the name is right here. So if that happens, I'm sorry. Hopefully it didn't happen to you. I think it happened to me just because I was using an old file. Whatever, don't worry about it. So this is my frequency pot. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to find my frequency pot. There it is. That's an x coordinate of 63. So 63. And then a y coordinate is on the side, 61. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to go and just finish doing all of the x and y coordinates for every part on the VCF. And so you should do the same thing now. You should pause the video and do them all. And when you come back, you can check your work based on what you see. Go. Okay, this is what it will look like when you are finished. Now, there are a couple of other things we still need to do to set up. You'll notice here on the sheet of paper above me, it says flip over. Here's why. So when we actually go to design the circuit board, we're going to put all the parts, like the resistors, the capacitors, the integrated circuits, they'll all go on this side, but where the controls go, they don't go on this side because there's no room for them. We have to flip it over and do it so we can plug in things and turn knobs and everything goes on the other side. And so that's why this is saying flip over. When you're all done, you're going to click this mirror function, and then you're going to flip them all over. And when you do, you should see them essentially disappear outside of their holes because now they're on the other side. Okay. I'm going to do that for every single one. Okay. Now, whether you're doing the VCA or the VCF, what we want to do is create some boundaries for ourselves so that as we're working through this, we know not to cross certain boundaries. So the first one goes like this. We're going to create a line. So I'm going to go up here to the, down here to the double arrows, click over, and find the line. Okay. Oh, weird. Didn't mean to create a line somehow. That was weird. I don't know why it's got this red line there, but we'll see what's going on. That is so weird. I don't know why it's doing that. Can I rip it up? There we go. There must have been some that shouldn't happen on your page. Okay, so I'm going to go back to line. Line. Oh, come on. Line. And now we're going to go to T-place right here. And we're going to just do a straight line. Okay, I'm going to do a right angle here. It doesn't really matter what angle because we just want to do a straight line. And what we want to do is we want to create a line straight up and down. In fact, you can even do, if you zoom in, just do a perfectly straight up and down little short line is fine. Okay. This is for VCA and VCF. Both of them have this boundary. Okay, and then what you're going to do for this line is we're going to create a boundary. Let me click over here and zoom in. So do you see this line right here? It's halfway between the 35 and 49. So the halfway between number between those two is 42. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this, go to properties. Okay. So for the x coordinate here, for both numbers, I want to put 42. That's the halfway boundary. Okay. And then for the lower number on the y coordinate, I want to put 9.25. That goes to the bottom of the board. And then for the higher number, 119.25, and hit OK. Okay. And so then what I've done here is I've created, and notice I've got pretty thin width. I'm just trying to create a little line. And now here's the line for me as a VCF to create a boundary to say, hey, as I'm placing parts, I need to stay on that side of the line so that I keep room for the other side of the line. That includes building my whole circuit. It's got to fit in there. Okay, so we're going to make it work. And so, yeah. Okay, now, next, if you are the VCA, you need to create an additional line, because if you look here, there's also an additional line. Okay, so we're going to create that line as well. That line might cut through this area a little bit, and if it does, and if your circuit happens to go there, when I put yours in and stitch them all together, I'll move those couple of wires. Like, it won't be a big deal. There's not much up there to wire to. Okay. If you just did the VCA, if you just did this line, you can just copy it, kind of move it over, paste it, right click on it, go to properties. And now our x coordinates is going to be 14 because that's halfway between 7 and 21. And then the y coordinates will be 9.25, 119.25. Hit OK. And so if you're the VCA, you're living in this section. Okay, since I'm doing the VCF, we're going to just leave it as is. All right, now, next up, let's take a look here at this. So this is the little circuit board that will have to be installed in that does the whole, it's the majority of the VCA or VCF circuit. And so we need to place it in a place where there's room in this side, and so there really is only room in one spot, and that's right around here. Now to place it well, what I would do is I would show the bottom place, and I want to make sure that as I place it in this bottom place that I keep out of the area reserved for the other parts on the other side, because this will stick through the board and it'll push on those other parts, and so we want to make sure that we're not hitting them. So this right about here, if I move it to there, leave some gap on both sides here, I'm going to right click on this and go to its properties. And so if you want to just type in a number, I'll give you a good number to type. So let's go 47.5 and 88. There we go. So again, that number was, if you want to put it at 47.5 and 88, that's a good starting point. All right, I'm going to go back to this layer, and I'm going to hide that bottom place. If you placed it at that exact location, you don't need to show the bottom place to know. You'll just know it works. Okay. Now, next, this power connector. This power connector, I'm going to allow you to just place over here in my section, and I'll deal with it, because for both boards, they both have a power connector, but the board as a whole will only have one in the end. And so when I merge them together, I'm just going to delete the extra ones. Okay, and you won't have to route anything to it. You'll see it just kind of takes care of itself in the process that we'll use. Okay. And so now this leaves all these other pieces here. And so if you're not seeing them all like you see mine here, what you need to have shown right now
is you need to show this red layer. And actually what we're going to do here, I'm going to hide that red layer. The real layer that you want to see is what's called the top stop, and that'll also give an outline of those parts as well. Okay. And so, yeah. But anyway, if you have the red layer, you can also see them. And so here's what I recommend at this step. We still have a bunch of setup to do, but I would take all of your resistors, anything that says R something, and I'm going to pause the video here for you to do it, and put them all in the same little area together. So I'm going to put all my resistors in this little area, and then here's all my capacitors of this style, so I'll put them in like this little area over here, and then I'll go find capacitors of this style and stick them in their own little area. Basically, I'm just going to take all the parts that look the same, or have the same R for resistor or C for capacitor, and kind of group them. This will help me in the next phase. So I'm going to pause the video there. I'm going to do that. You should do that as well. Okay, now I have all my parts nice and sorted together. I have all my resistors in one section, all my capacitors, all my larger capacitors in another section. Here's the two different chips that I'm using, one surface mount, one's through hole. Looks like I got a transistor there. I'm actually not sure why it's there. Let me go check that schematic. Where's that transistor coming from? Oh, yes. It has to do with receiving the signal from the gate. Okay, perfect. And there's some diodes. So there you go. As we kind of go through this, you can follow along exactly with where I put things, and I'll try to help you with that. But you can also just follow the basic principles and find your own path. But here's what I will tell you. Anything that's surface mount can go basically anywhere that's not a green pad. Like it can't overlap a green pad, but it can basically go anywhere it wants. They're small enough to fit anywhere, so they can even fit inside of this other chip, and they're fine. They actually could even, if you were really careful, they could fit inside of this as well. So I mean, they could fit a lot of different places. But the ones that have the green pads that are through holes, that's when you are going to have to pay more attention. And I'll help guide you on that, and probably even give you exact coordinates to place these parts to help make this easier on you. So there we go. Let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to go in here, and we're going to put in some holes in the circuit board. The reason why we're going to put some holes in the circuit board is when you actually are plugging in the jack, the plug into the jack, some manufacturers, the tip of the plug goes a little bit further than the jack is actually designed for. And when that happens, it runs into the circuit board. Now, one of the ways that this is fixed in this design is that the part itself, doesn't allow you to route any circuit there so that you don't accidentally short something if something were to get scraped off. However, we're going to go a step further. We're going to create a hole so that if it is a little too long, it has room to keep going and won't pop out on us. And so that's especially true for headphones, which tend to have the most common issue with that, but this also makes it more secure. And so that's what we're going to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a drill hole, which is right here. Okay. I'm going to start here with a drill dimension of 2.5 millimeters, and I'll kind of take a look if that's the right size. Yeah, that looks good to me. In fact, I think we can get away with 3. Let's see here. Nah, let's keep it 2.5. So these plugs are actually 3.5 millimeters, but we don't need to go the full barrel because it's not the whole thing sticking in through the hole. It's just the tip of it, and that's not the full width. So I'm going to stick with 2.5. That seems like the right size. And so I'm just going to place them kind of around in the middle of each of these jacks, and then we'll put them in their exact spot. So to put them in their exact spot, well, we've kind of already done that before. That's these numbers up here. So I'll just right click on it, go to properties, and so this first one was 45 and 112.25. I'm going to copy that so I can just paste that a bunch of times, and so on. So on that, I'm just going to do 55. So you can pause the video here, or when I finish, your call there, and do this as well. But it's only taking me a second, so I'm not going to pause the video. 45, 96.5. Oops, I typed in the wrong number. 96.5. Oh, interesting. That seems like I typed in the wrong number on the other side. Let me go to bottom origins. Oh, no, that's correct. What's going on here then? Oh, I just put in the wrong number here. That's supposed to be 111. That's on me. I can see numbers. There we go. Okay. Okay, I'm going to unhide those bottom origins there because I'm just trying to see what you're seeing. Okay, so there we go. Now we've got holes so that when we plug in the jacks, there's some extra room, just a little extra room to work with. And then now I think we're pretty well set up before we now need to start routing some things. The first thing I'm going to do is we're all going to do, okay, is we're going to create some polygons. And we're going to create them on all 4 layers. And the reason for all 4 layers is 2 of them are going to be ground, because that's our most common connector. Another one's going to be plus 12, that's our positive power, and there's going to be negative 12, our negative power. And that'll just simplify a lot of things. So anytime we need to route to power or to ground, we don't have to route a single wire. It does it for us. We only then have to route every other kind of connection, which makes our job way, way easier. So to do that, I'm going to walk you through that. But if you haven't gotten to the point where you have all these parts in place, this part exactly located, the holes, everything done here, pause the video, get that done, and then get ready. Okay, the magic tool we're going to use to make all of these things is the polygon tool. We're going to click on it, and I'm going to now go full screen because we're going to want lots of different options here. So first thing is that we want to do the top layer to start. We're going to keep it as a rectangle for now. And for our width, we want 12 mils, or just above 12 mils, but this is in millimeters. So I'm going to do a little quick calculation. 12 mils, 0.012 times 25.4. Okay, so here's your number. Why is that not clicking? Oh, I'm in the wrong window. So I'm going to click on there, and we're going to go here, 0.3048. That's 12 mils. That's the minimum that we want. So 0.3048. And then when it comes to solid or hatched, we want hatched. Solid makes it really hard to solder to. Hatched, it's easier to solder to. And then when it comes to cutout, sorry, that's what we don't want. We want hatched. And then here, when it comes to thermals on or off, we want thermals on. And when it comes to orphans, we want to drop those orphans. That just will let us know when we've got some part of the board that's not connected to ground at all. It drops it off. And we'll try to avoid that generally. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to do to make our jobs, our lives a lot easier, we're going to click up here, and we're going to change this to 1 millimeter. And that'll make it easier to create a rectangle where we end. So I'm going to click, go up to this corner, click again, go back down, and then I zoom in because I want to end at the exact spot I started. You have to hit it cleanly or else it can create some issues. So I'm going to hit it cleanly, and then I'm going to type in the name. AGND. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that, copy, paste, right-click, properties, and I'm going to change it to the bottom. So what's that's created now is that there is, we need to now show the bottom layer here. There's now a top and a bottom. There's 2 separate ones that are both ground. Okay? All right, once you've done that, you've got a top and a bottom layer of ground. Now we need to go and create 2 more. We need to do this process again. So we're going to go to polygon. Instead of top this time, we're going to go to the layer 2. We're going to do the same thing. It doesn't matter if we start exactly in the right spot. Okay? In the same spot as the other ones, or that we follow the same exact path. We just have to go around the board, and end in the same spot we ended. This one we're going to call plus 12. And we're going to do it one more time. We're going to do polygon. We're going to change it now to the 15, layer 15. This is the third layer. Okay, start it here. Your colors may not match my colors. That's okay. I've gone in and edited the colors. And if you want to add the colors, actually, I'll show you how to do that right there in just a second. So minus 12V. So our last layer is minus 12V. So we have two that are AG&D, top and bottom. One that's plus 12, that's layer 2. One that's minus 12 volts, that's layer 15. And when we do that, now we have 2 layers for ground, 1 layer for positive 12, 1 layer for negative 12. And we can go ahead and hit rat's nest and see this insanity. Okay. If you want to change the colors of different layers, so here I'm looking at layer 15. If we go to here, I'm going to look at layer 1. If you want to change the colors, you click the layers here, and you can just click on here. I think you can double click it. There you go. And then you can just, from there, you can click on the color and pick the color you want. Okay. Whatever, I usually try to do stuff that's visually obvious to me, and I feel like gray is a terrible color for this. I might choose something a little more. Okay, let's see, a little more purpley. Yeah, there we go. So we got top, second top, then we got this, and so on. Okay. In fact, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go more greenish. See how it looks to me. There we go. Doesn't matter what you do there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these all off. Once I have them all, and I know that I have ground, positive 12 volts, negative 12 volts, and ground again, you can actually tell if you did it right by, if you zoom into here, okay, and I'm just like kind of weirded out right now why it's, oh, I changed my top place to, what? Okay, I'm getting weirded out here. Did it change that color? No. Okay, I don't know why it changed the color of all of those other things. That was kind of scary. Okay. All right, I'm doing this live, I guess, so it's all in there. I guess I should pause, but whatever. I'm just going to keep going. Okay, fix it. All right. If you get stuck on any issues, just let me know, and I'll help you fix whatever color. So I'm going to zoom in here on the power, because here's how you can know you did it right. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hide that top place layer. So if I hide the top place layer, all that white print goes away. You can now see it says plus 12 up there, AG&D on the middle 3, and then minus 12 on the bottom. So when I click top, I should see lines going through the ground, because the top layer is ground. When I click layer 2, I should see lines going through the plus 12 on top, because that's what it should be. If I click layer 15, I should see lines going through the bottom, because that is minus. And if I click bottom again, I should now see again lines going through the middle 3, because those are ground. And if you've got that, great. You've got, what am I trying to say? Great, you've got it going, and I would be ready for the next step. If you're not there, pause the video, because I'm about to head to the next thing. Okay, for the next thing, I want you to go ahead and click that layers button again. We're going to hide our layers, and now I'm going to tell you what to show. I want you to show the pads and vias, unrouted and dimension, top place. We're going to keep the top names and top origin. Sorry, forgot that part. And then we're going to go down here to top stop. Top stop. Hit OK. And when you do so, it'll be easier to see things. And now you see all the little wires heading around. And oh boy, it changed so many things to purple, and I have no idea why. Okay, let me click on that and go there again and see how that improves things. Yeah, much better. That's probably closer to what it looks like on yours. Hit enter. I am having a hard time seeing what I'm doing. Okay, So now when you're done, you should see all the names of everything, and you should see all the connections between them. And it's at this point that we really need to go side by side with our schematic. So I'm going to go view this not as a full screen. I'm going to exit this from full screen. Okay. And I'm going to put this on the left side and this on the right. Okay. Now on this one, I'm also going to go to layers here. I'm going to hide everything, and the only thing I'm going to show is I'm going to click hide layers down here. The only layers I'm going to show are the nets, the symbols, and the names. That's all I need to see. Okay. And what I can do now is I can zoom in and find parts and where they go based on zooming in. So this is a jack, that's a pot, those are already placed. Oh, here's a resistor. I don't know where that resistor, where should I place that resistor? It's R1. Well, it should be right next to the frequency pot. That's what it's next to. So I'm going to go find it and go zoom into where all I put my resistors. There's R1. I'm going to take it. I'm going to find the frequency pot. Oh, I can see a line kind of connecting this. Oh, it wants to go there. So I'm going to stick it here. Oh, and by the way, since we changed this to 1 millimeter in the last step, we're going to click it again. We're now going to change it back to 1/4 millimeter, and that allows it to act more smoothly. And I'm going to place it like there-ish, and then I'll hit rat's nest. And I'll see this line coming out, and that's okay. We'll deal with that elsewhere. But now my R1 is right next to my frequency pot. You can do the same. Yours might not say R1. It might say a different, it might say R2 or whatever, depending on how you put it together. Just find that one, put it in. Okay, and then we've got pot, pot, jack, jack, jack. Okay. All right, next up, these capacitors. So C4 and C5 are my big capacitors. Those ones I actually want you to place near the power jack. So here's the C5, and here's C4. And C4 is the positive one, and C5 is the negative one. So I'm going to put, in, whichever one's on top is going to be your positive, whichever one's on bottom is going to be your negative. Actually, did I mess that up? Do I not? Oh my gosh. I didn't. I didn't put the. Maybe you caught this, but those need to be connected, positive and negative. Anyway, I'm going to put my C4 up top here because it's the positive one. So I'm going to put it on the top side. You can see that's labeled as negative. And I'm going to flip it over so that the positive is facing downwards. And I'm going to take this one. I'm going to have the negative facing upwards, positive facing downwards. And then I'm going to hit rat's nest, and I'm going to watch as, well, at least for this one, the wires disappear. They'll eventually disappear from this one as well. Okay, so I just need to place those two. Now I'm going to go in and look for C7 and C9, and I'll show you where those go. Again, yours don't need to be named C7 and C9, whatever yours are on this side. We're going to go find them. C7. And then we're going to go find C9. And you're going to want to place them near the big circuit here. I'll show you where to place them in just a second. Just a quick note, because I didn't say this out loud. If you had missed the plus and minus here, because apparently I missed it, so you might have missed it too. This should be connected to positive, that should be connected to negative. So go to your schematic right now, which should be open so they can talk together so you can make changes and fix that. Okay, now where do these go? These are little charge pump reservoirs. They basically store a little bit of charge right next to a circuit that might need it quickly. And if it needs it quickly, we want a little charge reservoir. This is just a technique in audio design to make all of our audio circuits work more ideally. You technically don't need them. They'll work without them, but they work better with them. They work better with them. So we're going to stick one near the positive on this, which if I look at all the pins, there's V plus. So that's going to be, according to this, C7. So I'm going to get near V plus, and then I'm going to hit rat's nest that's right under the polygon. And then I'm going to orient it. Let me turn it this way. I'm trying to keep as many pathways open as possible. Okay, I don't want to get it too close. I want to leave a gap for the header to be installed. So I know that gap needs to be kind of big. Okay, for this one here, do the same thing. Gonna leave a good healthy gap. Okay, hit rat's nest, there we go. Now I need to place this dual op amp. Now for the dual op amp, the challenge here is that you're going to need to use 1/2 for the VCA and 1/2 for the VCF. And so to do so, I'm going to pause the video here, and I'm going to figure out the exact location I want you to put it in, and the exact orientation. Now, when you actually work with this, if you're in the VCA or VCF, you know which way you orient it will be different, and when I combine them together, I'll fix that. But I want to give you like a setup that's at least close, that we can work with either way. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video. Okay, I found the optimal spot to put this chip. And that is, if you right-click on the chip and go to its properties, the location I put it in is 4175. 4175. And I realized that I didn't say where you should put this big thing for the VCA. If you right-click on this, if it's a VCA, all you need to do is same numbers. You're just going to change this to 15, and it'll look something like that. I think it might have one less pin, but it'll look something like that, and you'll have your jacks up there. So anyway, I'm doing the VCF. The last thing to note is that if you're doing the VCA, you can see all the air wires here on the right side. That's for the VCF. If you're doing the VCA, you want to spin it around so they're all on the left side, and then that way, when I put it together, I can kind of stitch things together the right way. All right, that's all you need to do. Again, if you're on the VCF, make sure all your air wires, all these yellow wires are coming out of the right side. You'll probably have, well, if you hit rat's nest, you'll just have that one. I don't think you'll have any coming. I don't think that's coming out of there. I think it just happens to pass through there. Let me check. Yeah, it doesn't come out of there. It just happens to pass through there. If you hit rat's nest, you should only have air wires on the side that you're on. So this is the VCF side. If you're the VCA, you'd spin it around so you'd only have wires coming out of that side. Okay. All right, that's enough of that. Now let's take our 555 timer, and this is one where I'm going to stick it in this area because it's like at the heartbeat of all these things. But I'm going to come back to it. I'm just going to drag it over there, and then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to group all these parts. I'm going to click here. I'm going to click group. And this is going to allow me to move them as a whole group, to the other side here. And this allows me to just work a little more quickly because now I'm over here with everything. Okay, okay, let me keep going. So we've placed R1, whatever yours is. We placed C7, C9, whatever yours are. And now here's where we're going to place C1 and C8 around this 555 timer. So I'm going to go to C1, C8. Again, yours might not be C1, C8, whatever they're called. So I've got C1, C8. Okay. And I want to find what pins they connect to on this 5 timer. Now let me think for just a second as I kind of scroll this around. Looks like that wants to connect this way. That might be a good starting point. Just have it face up like this. We'll stick it kind of in the middle, and then we'll find where this wants to connect. It wants to connect to there. Okay. And I'm realizing right now that I don't need C8 because the 555 timer just has a positive pin. All right, well, we get to come over to the schematic and delete it. Don't need it at all. Okay, so we've got this here. And don't worry about overlapping any of the words. I'm I am going to actually, well, I think top place is showing, yeah. I do want to make sure I leave some sort of gap here. So I'm going to move, I like to line things up. It helps with wiring later. So I'm going to move this slightly over. That seems better lined up. Make sure there's a gap here. There's a gap here. I'm not too close to that. Okay. And so there's where I put the 555 timer. That's IC1 is this chip right here. So it says IC1. It looks like this. When you're showing the layers that I'm showing, again, these are the layers I'm showing. It's all those ones. If you need to pause and get yours set up that way, that's what you need to do. Okay. And then I've got that capacitor there. All right. Now I'm going to hit rat's nest. Okay. Now I'm going to go find all the parts that are connected to here. I'm going to do one little part at a time. So first, let's go find R7 and R8. R8 goes to this jack. R7 goes up to this jack. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to find them, put them next to those jacks. R7. And again, yours might not be R7. So here's R7. I'm going to stick it like right there-ish. Okay, and I'm going to go find R8 for me. And connects to that, but it also connects there. So I'm going to go like that. I'm going to hit rat's nest like so. So that was just doing these two resistors right there. And now I'm going to jump into the heart of this thing. The 555 timer has got all these parts around it. So I'm jumping into the heart. So first here is this little network here. For me, it's C3, Q3, R2. So I'm going to go find those parts, C3, Q3, R2. C3. I'm going to drag it up there, Q3, drag it up there, and R2. Drag that up there. Okay. All right, now, this area right in here, I need you to leave alone, this section right in here, because I have to add a jack there, and I have to add additional circuitry. So we're not going to go there with this part. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and help you find exactly where we want to put this. I want to see if this transistor can fit anywhere without hitting of those other parts. All right, that looks good. And then I'm going to tell you what that location is. So you don't have to like have shown this layer. I got it for you. Okay, and so now I'm going to right click on this part, go to its properties, and then we're going to put it in the exact location. So I'm going to put it in wow, that's like 50 and 10. What did that say? Sorry for the slowness here. Sometimes figuring this stuff out is slow. 103.5. Let's see what that does. There you go. I like that. Okay, 50. So right click, go to properties, go 50, 103.5. Okay. And then from there, we have this capacitor. And this resistor, which I'm going to stick. Again, don't worry about going over the top of this text. That text won't matter for now. We'll eventually hide it so it won't get in our way. Okay, so I've got this little section done now. If you haven't done it, pause, get yours done, because I'm about to move on to the next little section. The next section I'm going to focus on is between the decay and sustain pots. And, sorry, I got a cough. Decay and sustain spots. Looks like I've got R3 here, R4, and D4. So I'm going to find those parts. Whatever yours are called, they might be different. So go find yours. Mine are R3, R4, D4. R3, R4, D4. Okay. And then my decay and sustain are kind of on crisscrossing areas. So R3 goes as my sustain. If I click on this, so it wants to go down there. So I'll put it right there. This wants to connect to R4. That's fine. R4 wants to connect to there. Sounds great. Okay, I'm making sure to leave some gaps for wires. I'm gonna leave some gaps there. Okay, I'm gonna hit rat's nest again. Okay, so I took care of that little section. I'm gonna go find this. There's this one little part that's connected to ground here. It's called C2 on mine. So I'm gonna find that. That's C2, and it connects to pin 5. So it connects to a specific spot. So I'll place it like that, and I'll hit rat's nest, and boom, the other side's grounded. So great. I'm gonna just have to do a short wire. Nice. That's simple. And then we're getting real close to the end. We just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. Is that what it's showing? How much do I have off to the side? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So let's start with R5 and D2. So coming out of my attack pot, I believe. Yep. There's R5 and D2. And one thing I'm noting is that all of these diodes seem to come together. So I'm going to try to move it so that R5 starts to head towards this other diode here. Okay, so I'm going to move it like there. Hit rat's nest, and then D2 takes it from there. And which way do I want to do it? Yeah, why don't I rotate it this way? Because it seems to want to go down and up. That's one of those challenging ones. Okay. So R5, D2, that's how I'm going to place mine. If you want to place yours in a similar area. And then here's my R6 and D3. By the way, if this is confusing you, you can go back in your schematic and just rename yours the same as mine, but that can be kind of cumbersome and time consuming. So, but that is an option. Okay, so now we have D3 and R6. That's these two. Again, if you're not with where I'm at right now, you need to pause and get caught up. No sense in just watching me do this. Don't just watch. Okay, and then if I hit rat's nest, I think this connects to that. Yeah, I see it connects to that diode right there. Okay. All right, and since these two diodes are wired together, I don't mind putting them a little extra close. I'm going to hit rat's nest. Okay. So now I'm left with this capacitor. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to pause there. My voice is killing me. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly where you want to put this capacitor. For me, it's labeled C10. I'm going to right-click on this, go to its properties. Let's make that 64. And what does that say? 29? 29. Okay, and that'll be a great spot for it. And then we'll hit rat's nest. And I had the positive facing down because the wire goes this way, and then the negative side gets wired into the ground. You don't see an air wire. Okay, and with that, we've got it done as far as the layout. If you haven't finished the layout at this point, you need to finish that layout before you go to the next video phase, which will be about the wiring. If you do the layout well, this wiring phase will be very simple, but that'll be for the next video.